Hey, Lisa.
Hey, Harry. How are you?
All right. Joe, what's happening, Joe?
Mark, you look good today.
Another day.
How come
Another day, another day living the dream.
Yeah, you know how it is.
Does anybody know why I can't get the picture up there?
Yeah, just hit on your bottom. It says allow video. All the way to the left, next to your microwave, next to your microphone.
Start video.
Start video.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Got it.
Emily, are you there?
Hi, Emily.
Hello.
Hi, Emily.
Just testing. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Vlad. How are you?
The only person waiting on is
sorry.
Mark, the only reason I'm used to this. I'm doing a Zoom tomorrow night for 55 people.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know. I got to run a meeting, big meeting. Pat, did you get up at 4 o'clock this morning? Since you texted me at like 6?
5 every morning.
Oh my God.
Let me see
Hi,
you.
Natalie.
I figured you might be up.
I was up. Trust me, I was up. No problem. You didn't wake me up.
All right. Well, it's 6:01. We have the public waiting.
You want me to start?
I'll leave it open for another minute or two while you start going through everything, and then I'll lock it down because we have to wait for if Wilkin joins us.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. The rescheduled monthly meeting of May 27th, 2020 is called to order at 6:01 p.m. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta?
Here.
Dr. Cohen? Here. Mrs. Frankel?
Take your mute off, Elise. She's here.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. Itkin?
Here.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Here.
Mr. Santana? Mr. Spindell?
Present.
And Mr. Barbarulo?
Here. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the rescheduled monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on May 22nd, 2020. The items to be discussed during closed work session if needed. We will have a closed session of the May 27th, 2020 rescheduled monthly meeting. May include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations under grievances, and tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. Can you please join me in a salute to the flag? I have the flag right here. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands
One nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Garcia, our superintendent, and we'll go from there.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
First and foremost, for security reasons, this meeting will be locked now. The public will be able to participate through Poll Everywhere, as we've done for the last 4 meetings or so. So that's set up on this screen here next to me so that I can see the questions as they come up. When we get to that point, I will unlock it so the public comments can come in for the board agenda and for business. This is our May meeting. Our May agenda is always a packed agenda, a lot to cover at this time of the school year, and then throw graduation on top of that and Governor Murphy, and that usually just makes it a little bit longer. So we will, there's a bunch of things that I would like to start off with and speak about. And then from there, Dr. Lacatina will be giving a presentation on our district performance report like we always do in the spring. And we are very pleased with those results and doing, so I think you will enjoy that presentation. a little bit more than the bullying one that I have to give you right now. The SSDS report. The SSDS report is a student safety data submission report that we have to report out twice a year. This is for the first half of the school year. Obviously, it's a little bit late, but that's because of everything that's going on. You know, the March meeting, we were up in the air, so we decided to table this for now. So you'll get this report. This is for the first half of the year, bullying incidents that we're required by law to report out on. And then probably in a month or two, I'll report out the second half of the year statistics. 2 times a year at a public meeting, I'm required to report to the Board of Ed all acts of violence, vandalism, and HIB that occurred during the previous reporting period. The information I am providing you is from the reporting period of September through December of 2019, and as follows. Number of reports of HIB, 22, 10 from the high school, 5 from TJ Middle School, 7 from the elementary schools, and of those 22, there were 12 confirmed HIBs and 10 were non-confirmed HIBs. Status of all HIB investigations, all of them were closed and all of them were investigated within the time period required by law. The nature of the HIB, based on the protected categories identified by New Jersey law, were verbal, written, and cyberbullying. The names of the investigators were either the principals or the school anti-bullying specialist. The type of nature of discipline that was imposed was to contact the parents, counseling, student reflection activities, in-school detention, modification of students' privileges, meetings with teachers, out-of-school suspension, intervention and referral services referrals, and schedule and class changes. Trainings that were conducted, 16 trainings for teachers district-wide, and 87 different programs were offered to students district-wide as far as training. Some of the types of trainings that were offered, district HIB with bullying prevention instruction in all schools, mindfulness training, and the meeting of the school climate team. Programs in some of the schools that were also offered, it starts with Hello Week, which is something new that we started this year, part of the Sandy Hook Promise that we're really pleased with. Christians Kicks, World Kindness Day, Walk to School with the Principal, Week of Respect, Wellness Workshop, Unplugged for Autism Talent Show, Risk of Social Media, Bright Star Behavior Assembly, and Real Kids Wear Pink. So those are just some examples of some things that we have been doing to target bullying and to prevent some of these acts from happening again. Well, like I said, we have to report out twice a year on this. So this is our first half of the year reporting. Moving on, in the agenda, I am pleased to announce that Dr. Stephanie Baptiste Bosco is being recommended for assistant principal at Fairlawn High School. Many of you know her. You've had a chance to work with her. You've had a chance to see her present as the instructional technology coach. She was instrumental in the rollout of the one-to-one. In addition to that, she was also instrumental in the rollout of the distance learning plan. And the website that you see when you go to the distance learning plan was created by her. She has hit the ground running since she arrived in Fairlawn, and we are just pleased to see her ascend into the next position as assistant principal and have her as part of the administrative team. And as I always do, the disclaimer is hopefully everyone here votes yes on that, but I like to always get ahead of myself and just say how thrilled I am with that nomination as assistant principal. Soft borders. The soft borders policy is set to sunset July 1 of this year, which puts us in a precarious situation because of everything that's going on right now. We haven't had a policy meeting in a couple of months because we were looking forward to doing it in person. However, majority of our policies can wait. This policy, due to the fact that it sunsets July 1st, puts us in a little bit of a situation because, you know, we are so up in the air with everybody's main goal is to eliminate soft borders, and that would be, you know, wonderful if we can do that. However, due to the registration process, due to we don't know when we're coming back to school, and hopefully it's September, fingers crossed, and I'm praying. But, you know, the registration process just began again. Our enrollment numbers, we're starting to take a look at them, but we're a little bit behind the 8 ball right now just because of that whole process and everything we're going through. So my recommendation to the board, or the option that I actually gave to the board was, are you okay with, would you like to have a policy meeting now just to discuss this policy? Or do you want to just maybe table the policy and or update the policy for another 6 months? And then by December, we can have a meeting and we could discuss this policy and say, what does soft borders look like in Fairlawn? At that point, it would allow us to have a more intelligent educational conversation about soft borders in Fair Lawn. We'll have real data in front of us to base it off of. We'll probably know what our enrollment numbers look like. But for us to make a decision on soft borders right now, while we have nobody in the schools, our registration is not complete, really, I don't think is in the best interest of the district. I think everybody here would love to see soft borders go away, but to make that decision right now would be probably doing a disservice to Fair Lawn. I polled the board, and majority of the board, 7 people said, let's table it. 1 person said, let's wait, let it expire maybe a couple months from now. And everybody else said they understood about 6 months. So majority of the board was comfortable waiting another 6 months and waiting to readdress the soft border policy. So what I'm going to be doing is we have 2 board meetings in June. The first board meeting in June will be the first reading of the soft border policy with a new sunset date of December. Nothing will change in it other than that. The second reading will be the end of June, and then it'll be official for July, as long as the board supports that. And then we'll have another meeting in the fall where we can have a policy meeting and we can discuss it at length when we have a better understanding of where we are. Moving on. ESY, our extended school year program, as many of you know, will be held virtual at this point. I heard the governor say today that he hopes that, summer programs can happen again, but they're not ready to make that decision. And it really is based on the numbers going down. So at this point, our extended school year, we had to start planning to be in compliance with our IEPs. Plus, if we had to have a physical extended school year, there was transportation components, childcare issues that parents may have to work out. So at this point, I haven't seen a district, and I could be wrong, but I haven't seen one district yet offer a physical extended school year. So at this point, we are going to be offering a virtual extended school year with face-to-face via Zoom links. Is that correct, Camille?
Yes.
Correct. So it's going to be a virtual platform extended school year. And that's the way we're going to be running it for this school year. Anything changes, I will let you know. In addition to that, summer camps. We also know, and as of today, I'm watching the press conferences every day waiting for something, but summer camps decisions have not been made yet that we are allowed to have summer camps, and we are running out of time. So at this point, we are going to offer as many virtual opportunities as we possibly can through the community school, and we'll be rolling those out shortly. I know that the municipality, the township, they have canceled their summer camps as well. But at this point, we would have to hire staff. We would have to be putting them on agendas as soon as possible, but we just don't have the green light from the state at this point, and we don't know if the numbers spike again, what that would do to us. So, at this point, it pains me, but we're going to have to start offering a virtual summer camp unless something changes drastically. In addition to that, I'm saving graduation for last, by the way. In addition to that, I'm going to jump to September. I am hoping that we will be back in school in September. I am wishful, but what I'm getting at is in preparation, we've been working as a district to create reentry teams at each building level, as well as at the district level. So we are creating a global district reentry team with multiple stakeholders, as well as reentry teams at every building level. We are preparing for what it'll look like if and when we come back, looking at all different scenarios. It's kind of difficult because we really don't have any guidance. Once again, I heard the governor say today that he was hoping that mid-June he'll be able to let us know when we'll be able to come back and hopefully what that'll look like, but he doesn't want to be held to that timeline. But we are having these conversations and trying to prepare as best possible since we are about 100 days out from a reentry if we were to come back in September. Graduation. Graduation, we had rolled out a plan of virtual graduation, the Cutter Caravan, what we're calling it, for the drive-by graduation. We are doing a 10-minute time slots for every single graduate to come to the sign at Fair Lawn High School to take a picture with their family, have their empty diploma jacket, not their actual diploma jacket. Those photos will be uploaded to our virtual graduation, but it'll also give them a little time to have some family photos in front of the congratulations class of 2020 sign, which I just drove by on my way here, which looks really nice. We were obviously informed yesterday by Governor Murphy that there can be live graduations beginning July 6th, and they were going to hope to have more information today, because when that information was shared yesterday, the details weren't released yet of what does a live graduation look like. How many students in a graduating class could be at a live graduation? What does social distancing look like? So the details, we did not receive them yet. So unfortunately, tonight, I was hoping that I could have some more information to share, but we are hoping and waiting and fingers crossed for that live graduation information. And as soon as we have that, we will share that. If we can have a live graduation and we could do it, that would be wonderful. But right now, we're still waiting for the details. And once again, this is one of those things where we are running out of time. And, you know, the good thing is that maybe July or August that we may be able to have it. But there's a lot of moving parts that come with that. Students are graduated at that point. There's just a lot of little variables that we have to look into, but we're hopeful that we can do that and pull off a live graduation. But we just need to wait to see what the details that come out of the governor's office and the Department of Education. So for now, I was hoping to have more information on graduation, but at this point, we are still moving forward with virtual graduations, and not just virtual graduations for the high school. Virtual graduations or virtual moving up for 4th and 5th grade and 8th grade as well. Everybody will have a virtual graduation in Fair Lawn or a virtual moving up ceremony. Both those contracts are on the agenda tonight for approval. I've already informed the Board of Education about that via email because we wanted to start moving forward with that as quickly as possible. I was speaking with the PTA council last night and said, of course, this is the year where we had to move up 4th and 5th grade that this decided to happen to us. But that's always the Fair Lawn way. It would never be easy. And that's what always challenges us and sets the bar high for us. I want to thank the PTA council. I want to thank Kelly O'Shea and Michelle Nappy and all of their hard work. Putting up those signs around Sasso Field is unbelievable. It's a sight to see. If you haven't drove by, you should drive by. It's really great. I want to thank the municipality for allowing us to hang banners all over town, wherever we can at this point. The banners just went up yesterday because we were waiting till after the Memorial Day festivities that they were holding. We wanted to wait until that to put them up. So we're really happy that you're seeing congratulations class of 2020 signs everywhere you possibly can in Fair Lawn. The students deserve it. I also want to thank our students who've reached out to us. I mean, so classy. Our student government, our student dialogue students, our president of the student dialogue. And I just want to say that, I've worked, 20 plus years in education, and it was one of the classiest letters that I've seen written to us about, please let us have our moment. Let us have our time. And I sent an email to the board. It was sad 2 days ago when I thought that I wouldn't be able to be standing on the field for the first time in my life, because it's been 20 plus years that every year that I've stood on the field for high school graduation. But the students were so articulate, so well written, so classy, and it makes me proud as superintendent to see that type of interaction with our students and our administration. And hopefully their day will come. And I feel that their letter was powerful, and I'd like to believe that it had something to do with it. So hang in there. We will get through this. We have 3.5 weeks left before we are done with this school year. And then we have to start preparing for whatever a live graduation in September looks like. There's 2 other things I just want to cover on here is the school calendar. The school calendar, I'm recommending to the board that we utilize 2 snow days and shave them off the back end of the school year. So the last 2 days of the school year, we'll utilize those snow days, unused snow days. And then the last day for students would then be June 19th. And the last day for our teachers and our staff would be June 22nd, which is a Monday. So our last day for students would be the Friday, June 19th. And our last day for our staff will be June 22nd. With that being said, the only changes on the agenda, we tried to upload the newest agenda to the website a couple hours ago. It takes a couple hours with our website. So the only changes that you may not see on the agenda, we pulled Bergen Community College because not for any bad reason, only because we're waiting on the contract from them. They're working with a skeleton crew over there at Bergen Community College. A lot of people are working from home. So we're just waiting to get the contract from them for our agreement with Bergen Community College. So it'll probably be on the June agenda, but I wanted to just pull it tonight. So that's not on the agenda anymore. Also, I had to rename, we had the school preparedness plan for closures. It's actually the Department of Education wants us to start referring to it as the school health preparedness plan for closures. So I just renamed it. It's still on the agenda, but it's just renamed something different. So everybody, if they looked at the agenda online or the board has their agenda, everything pretty much stayed the same at this point. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Lacatina to, all right, I'm going to let Ron talk, but we'll turn it over to Dr. Lacatina for district performance report, and then we'll open it up for comments from the board, and then we'll get into like any comments on the agenda at that point. But go ahead, Ron.
I just had one question on the extended school year. It's going to be all virtual, so it's going to be live interaction with the teachers. That's the way we're doing it. Like, how have we been doing it so far with our special education children so far this year? Have we been doing that, or is this something new they're going to be
Would you like
facing?
to answer about extended school year and what it looks like?
Sure. So we're developing a schedule where we can have live interaction, like a morning and a PM session, and maybe some small group interaction mixed in, depending on the time of day for students, and also just to have their therapies in. Their therapies will also be in a virtual format as well. So you're going to see a consistent schedule of interaction within that time frame.
Okay, yeah, no, I just was curious because I didn't know like how they were doing like up till now, like with all the, the distant learning, like, is everybody doing the virtual with them like now? Are they not? Is it going to be new to them? They're going to be nervous, all different things. So
it's been very connected with what we're providing for Gen Ed. So the same guidelines that we have given all of our staff are pretty commensurate in terms of Google Classroom, Classroom Dojo, or Zoom sessions for all of our students.
okay, thank you. That's it. All right, Natalie, it's all yours.
And real quick, Natalie, we did have a very high response rate and a very high interest level for our extended school year. So we're really happy about that as well.
Are you done now?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right.
Nick, am I able to share my screen?
Of course. All right, let me just close this out. Nope, it's almost hung up on everybody. Share screen.
Hey, Ron, I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
You should be good, Natalie.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So as Mr. Garcia said, I'm going to be talking to you tonight about the district performance report from 2018 and 2019. Oh boy. And it's not advancing.
Oh, you got to hover over, try clicking it again. Go ahead. It freezes from time to time. There was something I know you got to do. Hold on one second.
Nope, got it.
Got it?
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Okay, so the district performance report, as you know, is the new version of the New Jersey School Report Card, and it contains a vast amount of data. We're going to talk about some demographic information. There's information on there about the staff that works in the district. We look at student achievement and progress, chronic absenteeism, college and career readiness, graduation rates, SATs, AP. There's a ton of information in this report. And tonight I'm going to be talking to you about how we did collectively as a district. And just bear with me. Okay, so the first screen you're going to see here is showing you a lot of the demographic information. We've stayed pretty stable here in Fairlawn, except as we know for enrollment. And you can see for the past several years, we keep gaining new students to our district. So other than that, home language and enrollment by ethnic group, all of that tends to stay relatively stable here in Fairlawn. This next slide is showing you student growth. So there are two things we're going to look at tonight: student growth and student proficiency. Growth.
Wilkins coming in now. Wilkins just ended.
Okay. Growth basically means how much are the students growing and progressing in ELA and in math? And they figure this out by comparing students to other children in the state that have similar types of scores. And they look to see how they both progressed in the following year. And they talk about students having either low growth or typical growth or high growth. So on this chart, you can see the district-wide scores as well as all of our subgroup categories. And you can see that we have met or exceeded the standards in all 9 subgroups for ELA and in math. There are some areas where there's no data available or where there are so few kids that they're not allowed to report it because of privacy reasons. But we are really excited that in Fair Lawn, we have met that growth standard in every area possible. And if you look at the English language learners, I have that highlighted in yellow. They have actually exceeded the standards. So that's really incredible. Their performance is really, really outstanding.
Natalie, can I ask you a question on that last previous one?
Sure.
I'm sorry. Why are the ends are there, all those ends?
There's no data available.
Oh, okay. Well,
yes.
Well, why?
I'm not sure why, but they.
Okay. I was just curious, like on female and male, why there's no data if the kids are either female or male. Okay.
That's just their key. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
Okay.
Double asterisks, that's where there are 20 or fewer students.
No problem. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, we're still looking at student growth here. You're going to see it by grade level in this slide. You can see it for ELA and you can see it for math over here, the right portion of your slide. And so you can see that in the grade levels 4 through 8 for literacy and grades 4 through 7 for math, you can see that our students are demonstrating various levels of growth, but they all fall within the typical range, except for grade 5 in ELA, where our students had a very high growth level. So now we're going to start talking about the proficiency area. So this table basically shows you the ELA section of the NJSLA assessment. And you can see that there are 5 performance levels in this assessment. And again, we are looking for our students to meet certain targets. So you can see again that in ELA, this is the proficiency of students. You can see that we have met the target or the goal in all of the areas. So basically what happened was the state calculated some baseline data in 14-15. And then they said, we want students to achieve 80% proficiency. So 80% of the students need to be proficient by the year 2030. And then they broke it down into small portions, and we have to make small incremental increases in the percentages of students that are proficient. So where it says we've met the target, it means we've met those incremental target scores, but where it says met all those subgroups have already achieved that 80% proficiency that they were hoping for by the year 2030. So we are doing very well in the area of ELA. Slide here is showing you the same information, but they're showing it for mathematics. So once again, you can see we have either met the target or the goal in almost every single category. We met, the only place we did not meet the category for math is students with disabilities. They met this, they met their target last year. This year we fell a little short. I reported a couple of weeks ago on the NJSLA in science, so I just wanted to refresh your memory with one slide on that and show you how our 5th, 8th, and 11th grade students did. Remember, these are the only grade levels of students that actually take this assessment. They use 4 different levels of proficiency rather than 5 for this portion of the assessment. And once again, we outperformed the state in every area. This is the first year that we're actually getting any scores for this brand new assessment. So 47% of our 5th grade students demonstrated proficiency, 31% of 8th graders demonstrated proficiency, and 55% of our 11th grade students scored in either a level 3 or 4. And again, that is higher than the state average for all grade levels.
And real quick, Natalie, I'm trying to, somebody just emailed or popped up, said that you were blocking the screen. I don't know if anybody else is having issues.
No.
Can you all see the?
I could see, anybody else have an issue seeing?
No.
Not at all.
No,
Not
me
at
neither.
all.
I just moved it
I'm
over.
good.
You can move the Zoom to the
That's
side.
what I thought. I moved mine
Yeah.
too.
People might have to just move it over for some of the bars.
Yeah, you can move it.
Yeah. Are you okay with me continuing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're just-
This again is a really outstanding slide. It is very indicative of how our English language learners are doing as far as acquisition of the English language. And this is the 2nd year in a row that they have exceeded the targets. So once again, you saw it in an earlier slide, and again, you're seeing it here, that students are doing an outstanding job from K to 12 in acquiring the English language. This slide is showing you participation in PSATs, and you will see that 100% of our students in 10th and 11th grade do indeed take the PSAT. This is something we started some years back where we as a district pay for that so that all of our students can participate. On this slide, you will see at the bottom, circled in red, the percentage of students that are participating in a dual enrollment course. So 59.2% of our students are taking a high school course, which also allows them to get college credit if they so choose. We have these courses offered through Bergen Community College, Fairleigh Dickinson, so web design, childcare, culinary one. These are some of those courses that students can pay to earn the credits for college courses. And you can see we really have a very high percentage of students that participate. And you see on the right side of the screen, all of the different AP courses that our students are enrolled in and the numbers of students that test in those courses. And we have somewhere around 23 or so courses. And those are the remainder of those AP courses.
Natalie, I just got a text the same thing, Nick.
It's better now. Everybody's writing it's better now.
Okay, no, I'm saying
Check
I
on
got.
my other, I pulled up YouTube from my other screen in my office and
Yeah, because somebody said if you're watching from Facebook, they said that our faces are blocking the thing.
it's better.
So
Natalie,
Yeah,
how can you have a certain number of students enrolled and more students taking the test than those enrolled? Because there's a few of those. For instance, it was on the other page, I believe. Oh, here it is.
yeah, there are a couple of them.
Yeah, 35 and 36 kids took the test.
So I believe it's like, for example, AP Physics C. We don't offer that, but I think students are still allowed to sign up with college boards to take it.
Okay.
They get sit for the exam.
Right. So this is an area that we talked about last year with CTE, and it was an area that we were focusing on last year and that we continue to focus on with CTE programs. Last year, we did not have any approved programs. However, as I believe you know, we have since been able to gain approval for the course progression in the area of architectural technology. So that progression has been approved for the 2020-21 school year, and we are really excited and really proud about that. We have been allocated some Perkin grant funds that we will be able to use for this program. We have not yet decided how that's going to be how it's going to be used yet, but we will report out to you in the future on that. We are hopeful that the 39 students that have already been taking part will continue to stay enrolled in these courses through the rest of their high school year so that they can finish the course progression. And we are also going to be looking into several other possibilities for the future, such as approval in a business area and performing arts. Those are the two that we're hoping we will get additional approval for in the upcoming year. So I just really want to thank the high school principal, Paul Gorski, Ron Durso, Brian Hicks for helping out with this. They've done an outstanding job, and we're really excited.
Ally, can I ask you a question about that? So, because I noticed a few 8th graders that I know their families, they can go to like Bergen Tech like half a day and then they come by us half a day. Is that how this is working, or?
CTE is different. CTE is they're taking courses right in our high school.
Okay, but
Yeah.
do we have that ability? I don't know if you can answer, if Nick can answer, that a kid can actually go to the trade school for like half the day and they come to our district for half the day or something? Because I'm a little confused, because I've seen a few people congratulate them, good luck in, you know, Bergen Tech and Fairlawn High School. Like, so I'm like, how are they going to both schools at the same time? So do we have that, or we don't have that?
We have 57 students who attend Bergen Tech
They attend Bergen Tech totally.
full time.
Okay.
Mr. Barbarulo, are we going to wait until the presentation is over to ask questions, or we can ask questions during the presentation?
You can ask a question right now if you want. I've asked a couple of questions.
All right, I have a few questions. Let me start with the most recent. Is there any possibility that we can include any trades in this career technical education participation? You know, there's a lot of demand for electricians, plumbers, carpenters, you know.
So, yes, we are. We do have some trades already, but we are working on that. We've been working very closely for the last couple of years with Bergen Tech. There was, and I know I've shared this with the board, and we've spoken about the closed session too. There was $500 million that was allocated to increasing CTE programs in local school districts, and we were in talks with Bergen Tech. However, that grant was significantly changed, I believe, and now I think in light of everything that's going on right now, probably changed as well. But we are still looking for options. One of the biggest obstacles that we deal with is space. Where do you put it? And so, you know, an auto lab takes up a lot of room. Some of the CTE programs are double classrooms. So we know that we obviously have an overcrowding problem in Fairlawn. So that's been one of the obstacles we're dealing with. However, we are still exploring those options and we're not giving up. And every chance we get, we're looking to see how we can expand those. So yes, we are looking to expand on what we currently have if we could partner up.
I would like, if possible, I would like to see the district, if that's something that is allowed, reach out to our local shops. You know, we have many shops in town where kids can get real, you know, real experience there.
They actually
Maybe
can't.
we can outsource that.
They can't. There's different labor laws that you can't. You have to have an agreement with them through the state. They have to be certified and everything else like that. I know that for a fact because I teach in a technical high school.
Yeah, there is a lot of.
They can do it on their own, but not through us. You would have to have an agreement with like a mechanic's shop or a plumbing shop like my company or something like that. You have to be rectified by the Department of Labor.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
We have many great small business owners in Fairlawn.
Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
And I would like the district to reach out to them because, you know, we have everything that we need. Another question. Why were only 5 students tested and 11 enrolled in AP Studio Art and Drawing portfolio?
So I don't have the answers to all these. You know, I can't answer that right now, Wilkin.
Because I don't mean to put you in the spot, but I know that if a student is taking an AP class, it is with the presumption that the student would take the test. So I understand when you have more students taking the test than enrolled. That means maybe the ones who didn't pass the test last year took it, or maybe students just decided to take the test and pay for it because they can do that. But it is the expectation, as far as my expectation as a board member, and as far as what I have been informed by the district, that if the student enrolls in the AP class, the student will take the test, because that's how the student get the benefit of getting the score, to then get the credit by the college institution. So, I really would like to see more kids taking the test in AP US History and AP Studio Art Drawing Portfolio.
So at this, Emily, did you want to say something?
Wait, I'm not done, Mr. Nursia.
Oh, okay. I can't see you, so I don't know.
Can we look at, just to set the tone here, right? Can we do what we normally do in meetings where board members get a first turn, you speak for up to 5 minutes. If you want a second turn, you speak an additional 3 minutes. And that I would just like to ask if Dr. Lakatina could finish her presentation and then come right back to Logan to finish his questions.
Well, I ask, with all due respect,
I'm making a suggestion that we do that.
I understand, but I asked if we can ask questions during the presentation, and I was told yes. So I'm
questioning that
I don't have a problem.
I'm suggesting that we follow the normal protocol of what we all agreed on before, and go straight back to you because you're in the middle of your turn. But I would interject here just to keep the meeting running along and let's.
I don't mind. She can,
Natalie,
Emily,
let him finish his question, and then we'll go back to what you say. That's fine. Okay, Emily, no problem. Go ahead, Wilkin, finish up your questions.
Dr. Lakatina, how do we do in science in compared to our neighbors in Bergen County? Do we have that information yet?
No. I'll answer it because that came up at the last meeting and it came up since the last meeting as well. We don't have a comparison to the other districts in Bergen County. The state did not report out on comparing us to other districts in Bergen County. So we do not have that information.
Last question for now. How can the board help the district to raise the achievement in our special needs students in math? Is there anything the Board of Education can provide for us to do a better job in raising the achievement of special needs students in math? Is there anything the board can provide in the future?
I'm sorry, Natalie, I'm going to jump in. I think the board is helping out. I mean, we're seeing next year with the middle school schedule an increased time allotted to that. The support of inclusion classes district-wide. We rolled out supplemental math programs targeting specific students before school and after school, and we're going to see an increase in that. We're looking at restructuring potentially staff as well that could help out in those areas. So, I mean, I think just the support of the board is helpful, but the administration has a plan that we're working on, and I think we'll see some of that as we get towards the later slides. But we are, obviously everything kind of got tabled this school year, and then we're not going to have any test scores this school year to even base it off of. So you're going to see like a little bit of a lag here in the district performance report, probably next year into the year after that. But I think it's just the support of the board is helpful.
Thank you. No further questions.
And Wilkin, just a point of information on the AP test. You had to pay to take the test. It's not cheap, and some people can't afford it, and some people don't want to take it either. So I'm just letting you know that. So that's not like that. We're not offering it. Some people just don't want to take it or they can't afford to take it. It's not a cheap test.
Well, just to answer that, the College Board offers waivers for any student that is not able to afford to take the test.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but some people don't take up on the waiver, so.
Well, we should encourage that because then, they're taking the whole.
Anyway, go ahead. Just move on. We're going to move on to the meeting.
You.
Goodbye. Let's go ahead, Natalie.
Okay. This is a new slide. This is the seal of biliteracy. I don't know if you remember our conversations where this is something the State Department of Education came out with just a couple of years ago, where we allow graduating high school students to be able to demonstrate proficiency not only in English, but in another language. So last year we offered French and Spanish and Chinese. I'm not sure why Chinese is not showing up on this report. to take those courses to attempt to earn that seal of biliteracy. So last year, 20 students earned that seal in Spanish, meaning that they were literate in Spanish as well as English. And so they get to graduate with a special seal on their diploma. So we are really excited our very first year that we had 20 students that actually reached that goal. This year, I can tell you that we opened it up to other languages as well. So we said it doesn't have to be just a language that we offer in our school system, but if you know another language and you would like to take it, take the test, then go right ahead. And we had actually 55 students take the test. Some of the other languages were Russian, Arabic, Japanese, Hebrew, and Polish. And I think it's 44 of our students will now be graduating with a seal of biliteracy. They have actually passed the test. So first year, there were 20 students, and this second year, we have 44 students. So we're really happy about that achievement. This is a slide that shows the visual and performing arts. So we talked about this last year, that the State Department requires districts to have dance certified and drama certified teachers. And we are supposed to be offering these types of courses to our students on a choice basis in middle and high school. This is a challenge for all districts across New Jersey. There are very, very few people that are certified in these areas. We do readers theater in elementary school, which counts for this drama section in elementary school, and we offer dance in phys ed in elementary school. And so that is okay with the Department of Education, but in middle and high school, they're really looking for people to be certified in those areas. So in middle school, it's very difficult to find anyone, but we offer drama after school. And we also incorporate dance into our phys ed classes, just like we do at elementary school. We also offer the dance in the high school in the phys ed classes, and we have a drama certified person, and we offer a course in the high school for that, as well as an extracurricular activity. So this is an area where you can see there's a very low percentage of districts throughout the state that offer this, and we as well have a difficult time offering it. It's an area that we keep scratching our heads about what can we do. And so it's something that comes up oftentimes, but it's really hard to find those types of teachers. So this is our graduation rates. On this slide, we are looking at 4-year graduation rates and 5-year graduation rates for the district, as well as all the subgroups. And in most areas, we met the goal. We did not meet the goal in Hispanic for the 4-year graduation rate. We met the goal for the 5-year graduation rate. And it's the opposite for our students with disabilities. We met the goal for the 4-year rate, but did not meet the goal for the 5-year rate. And we have talked about this in the past. There are students with disabilities that are allowed to stay in our schools until they are 21 years of age. We are looking into coding our students as postgraduates so that perhaps it doesn't impact this rating. So that's something that we are looking into. And in the area of Hispanics, if you look at what I've highlighted, we have improved since last year. So last year's report, they did not meet target for the 5-year rate and the 4-year rate. So we've already improved because our Hispanic students' 5-year rate has improved for this year. And also, if you look back for the 2019 4-year rate, it's already higher than the 93.8%. So we went from 93.8% for the class of 2018 to 94.6 for the class of 2019. So we are definitely moving in the correct direction. Again, our dropout rate is extremely low here in Fair Lawn, 0.1%. We are very happy about that. This is a new slide, new data that the Department of Ed is providing for us. And this is taking a look at the class of 2018 and seeing the percentages of students that are enrolled in a 2 or 4 year institution 16 months after they graduate. So 90.8% of our students were still enrolled in a 2 or 4 year institution after graduating in 2018. And just for reference sake, the state average is 77.8. We are doing very well there too. Our students are doing a great job. Chronic absenteeism, we've had quite lengthy discussions about that, and we did indeed across the district meet all of the targets for chronic absenteeism, which we're really proud about. And there has been, when you dig a little deeper into the data, there has been a dramatic decrease in chronic absenteeism across the district. I know that this doesn't necessarily show it, but look at it and start comparing from one year to the next, we have done a really good job, and the absenteeism rate has certainly dropped. And so we thank our families and our students for making sure that they are present to get their instruction. So this is a summary of this whole report. So basically, you want to see green and you want to see blue and you want to see that lighter blue. Sometimes it's a little lighter or darker. We want to meet the targets and meet the standards. And you can see that the majority of this chart has us meeting goals, meeting targets, and exceeding targets. Like last year, we have 3 areas that we need to take a look at, and that is our 4-year graduation rate for Hispanics, and it's our math proficiency for students with disabilities, and our 5-year graduation rate for students with disabilities. And we currently have no schools in the district that are comprehensive or targeted support schools. So again, as a district, we are doing really well, and the schools themselves are all doing really well. There are certainly places where we continue to put our attention to, but there's nobody that is a comprehensive or targeted support school. So let's take a look at the highlights just to reiterate, because there is a lot of data and information here. So once again, just to highlight, the district met or exceeded growth in ELA and math. The district met the target or the goal in proficiency in ELA. The district met the target or the goal in proficiency in math. ELLs exceeded the growth target for English language proficiency for a 2nd year in a row. 20 students earned the new seal of biliteracy last year. And like I said, this year, 44 students are going to earn that seal. And overall chronic absentee numbers are down quite dramatically across the district since our last report. So are really happy with the way that our schools are performing. That being said, we do have 3 areas that we want to continue to focus on: middle school mathematics, career and technical education, and our graduation rate. Mr. Garcia made mention of our new schedule at the middle school. We are constantly taking a look at that, and we are going to be increasing the daily instruction time in math next year for our 5th and 6th graders. And we are really hopeful that that's going to help with our math scores. We're also going to extend the everyday math program that we use in K-5 into our grade 6. And we've had great success with that program, so we're looking forward to that. We just implemented a new math series. Ron Larson is the author. It's called Big Ideas. That was just implemented this year in grades 6, 7, and 8. So we look forward to seeing how that's going to impact our scores down the road. Our special education students continue to have a variety of different placement options available to them. We keep expanding those options, whether it's in-class support or a pull-out resource room type model. So we are constantly looking at how we can help support our special education students as well. And as Mr. Narcia said, we're looking at after school options, some additional supports as far as different platforms and programs that we can use to help students in the area of math. For career and technical education, I already spoke about this, that we are going to continue to look for other course progressions that we can use for CTE programs in the future. And of course, always trying to see what other opportunities are available to partner with other schools such as the Bergen Tech. And then graduation rates, again, our high school guidance counselors, child study team members, teachers, and administrators have been working really hard to identify students at risk of failure much earlier than senior year, obviously, to try to help them, provide supports, and get them to graduate on time. And so we will continue to be looking at that. And that is it, if there are any questions.
Does anybody have questions? Emily, did you have a question? Welcome. I'm going to go to people first. You had asked a couple questions, so whoever wants to ask.
Stop sharing so we can actually see everybody.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Yeah, can we do that? Because I can't see everybody's hands.
I know, I can't either.
Okay.
Mr. Barbarola, put me last.
So, Emily, you had questions.
Yeah, it's more reflection. So
I got you, Mike. Just so you know. Go ahead, Emily.
I just want to congratulate Dr. Lakatina and team for a really second year in a row, great presentation that I've noticed, and there's a lot to be proud of in this deck. So I just want to acknowledge that. Thinking about areas of focus for the future, I think about our district's long-term strategic plan, especially the bucket around individualized learning. And I think there's a theme somewhat, especially at the high school, it looks like from the data, around providing more opportunities for individualized learning at the high school. So that includes CTE, but it also includes things like additional students enrolling in AP courses. We weren't below the state percentage, pretty close with, we were at basically at or just above about a third of our students taking any AP courses. So I think that's another area, with a high school as large as ours and with such a wonderful reputation and the quality of instruction there, another area, be a natural way to grow in for personalized education in the high school. Also, the point about the structured learning experiences like internships and volunteer, we already have so many clubs in the high school. Is there any way to build from that strength to take some of the work that the students are doing extracurricularly and make that count toward a more supervised structured learning experience? And then, of course, looking at subgroups of students who aren't quite on target with what we would expect for growth in math, like students with disabilities and some indicators for students from Latinx backgrounds. I just want to say, with all of that being said, I just want to remind everybody, that we're living through a global health pandemic, right? And there's a lot of precarity and uncertainty about what's going to happen in the fall. And I would just like to say, as a board member myself, I really feel like if we're going to speak as a voice, as a board, the message we should be giving is this is not business as usual. Like, everything we just saw is great that this happened last year, but all bets are off with society basically just turned upside down. And actually, seeing the presentation makes me very happy, but it simultaneously makes me feel very sad, because our accountability, our ability to make steady progress toward issues of equity is really jeopardized under the situations that are beyond anybody's control. And to keep up this momentum and the strength, I just feel like as a board, we need to be encouraging and supporting our administrators to pivot as much as possible, and to not just, the typical, this is the areas we're going to focus on the assumption that things are going to kind of look the same in September, but really confront the reality that there is a very, very, very good chance that things are not going to be the same, fundamentally not the same in September. Whether we're in school or out of school, there will be different environments for learning for different groups. And that as a board, I really feel like our attention to progress needs to always come back to the pandemic context that we're in right now. So I just
we're bummed too, because we gave this presentation last year and we talked about all the things we were going to do this year, and we started off so strong with a lot of those interventions and strategies to continue to keep growing as a district. And then all of a sudden this hit, and then there's no test scores to even support it or show it. So we're like, wow, we're really going to have to wait now another couple of years. And then you throw this on top of it, the impact of the coronavirus and us being at home. So yeah, we're acknowledging that as administrators as well and saying like that we're not thrilled either about that. Natalie?
And just to, comment off of, what Emily said, I also want to remind everybody that this is just one way of looking at data. There is so much more than this. And so, I'm just going to take students with disabilities. When we look last year, our students across the district didn't meet their target and they did do well. And so we do sometimes see these ebbs and flows with our scores. And so almost what's more important is that our administrators and our teachers go back and dig deeper into that data and say, who were those kids? And let's identify them and see what they need. And that's much more telling than just saying globally, here's something that happened, because it was like when we used to compare, this is how third grade did in math one year compared to third grade the next year. Well, those aren't even the same kids. So it's great. We want to see those scores improve each year, but it's often more important to see how did an individual student grow. And so, and Emily, all that data and all of that. And so I just like to throw that out there that this is just the tip of the iceberg that we're looking at here. And for, brevity's sake, we're just trying to present on some of that. And we, with the AP students with the enrollment, Emily, we're hoping to see an improvement in that as well, because last year we started a new waiver process at the high school that we've talked about in the past with allowing kids to go through an appeals process to say, hey, maybe I didn't meet every prerequisite, but this is what I would like to do and why, and reanalyzing and really giving, we gave so many more kids opportunities this year. So it'll be interesting again to see what happens in the future. So understanding the data is always a little bit behind, but thank you, Emily, for that.
Mike. Unmute yourself, Mike. You're on mute.
Message.
Okay, now I can hear you.
I know, I'm here. So Natalie, great presentation. Obviously, that's all available everywhere for people to see it. I want to say a couple things. First of all, I think math was middle school math. We keep talking about because that was an area that we needed to grow in, and every meeting I went to of the education committee, and even when you did the presentation for the board on the new program for 5th and 6th graders next year, I've always said that 6th graders are going to benefit just as much or more from this program, from the new middle school program, than the 5th graders, because the math and the ELA time is definitely going to help. And I think with the special ed population, Camille, correct me if I'm wrong, please. It's very, very hard to look at data on special ed children because the types of disabilities that kids have and come in with change every year. And there's some kids, you would be shocked at some of the disabilities that we have in Fairlawn we're a public school. We teach them all. We teach every kid. And some of the kids, it's a very difficult, they're in very difficult situations. So am I correct at that, Camille?
Yes, it's kind of, I echo what Natalie said. Every year you're going to have a different group of students and we're comparing the data from year to year, but it's not the same exact student. And that's why, just like Dr. Lagatina was saying, that's why we have our teachers and our administrators going back and looking at our day-to-day assessments and day-to-day tracking and day-to-day progress of students. So we are mindful of that and we're keeping a close eye on that. And, reports like these are helpful because then it gives us an even closer look as to what maybe we need to focus on. But you're right in terms of that. Every kid is unique. Every student's unique.
And Nick, I was under the impression that we did have kids going to Bergen Tech in Paramus and half day, Bergen Tech half day Fairlawn High School, because I know other high schools do, and I thought we always did. So if you could look at that.
I'll double check.
But I think we do. And as far as, oh, there was one more thing I wanted to say. Oh, Emily, thank you for bringing up, next year it is going to be very different, and I think every educator, I think, knows this coming in next year. If we do go in September in a somewhat normal state, the kids are going to be behind. There's going to be some kids that are behind, and teachers are going to have to really work hard. We're going to really have to work hard to catch up. And I think that's going to be universal in the whole country, every town, every school in the whole country, because we're all in the same boat when it comes to that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have their hands up? I'm looking at the whole screen. Okay, Wilkin, you go. We got 3 minutes.
You're muted,
You're
Wilkin.
muted.
You're muted.
Okay, reset the 3 minutes, please. Look, while I agree that yes, after during this crisis, there's a new reality, and we have to adjust our expectations. We still have to make progress with equity. We still have to get a return on the investments that we are making in the education of our community and our children. And yes, our students will be facing a new reality, but exactly because of that, we have to prepare our staff for them to not lower the bar, but get ready for a lot of hard work. And I commend the district on the improvements on the attendance. However, I am not, and the improvements on all the subgroups that have exceeded the state standard and exceeded. But I am not, as a board member, I am not satisfied with the area where our Hispanic students did not meet the state standard for fourth-year graduation rate, and our students with disability not having met the fifth-year graduation rate and the proficiency in math. I am not satisfied with that, and I understand the district had a plan last year to improve, and we did. I recognize and I commend the district on the improvements that were made this year. And if there need any resources or anything that the board can provide, please let us know. But there's a lot of room for improvement there. But I would like to commend the district on the expectations on the report, and also on the high achievement on the AP students as well. I'm concerned about every single student in every single group, everyone, equity across the entire district. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Lacatina or Ms. DeFranco, but when a student who is a special needs student that takes a state test, that student is automatically granted the adaptations and accommodations as per the IEP when they take the test. Am I right or wrong?
It all depends on whatever's in the IEP, yes.
Exactly. Whatever is on the IEP for the adaptation and accommodation. That means they are provided with the tools that are in the IEP in order for them to be able to do well on the exam based on their unique abilities. Am I right or wrong?
Well,
Yep.
well, it's
Within the guidelines for the state too. I'm sorry, Nick, I don't want to.
no. Well, to say that they're provided with the tools to do well on the exam is the part that's, say they're provided with the tools as driven by their IEP based off of their disability, but to say to do well,
No, to equal the playing field to equal the playing field. For example, if they're provided with extra time, they're provided
Yes.
with larger print, they're provided with all of this, we shouldn't lower, I'm not saying anyone is doing this, but we should not lower the expectation of how we expect them to achieve, but we should expect for them to achieve at the highest potential level. Because every student, regardless if the student is Hispanic or special needs or from wherever, we have to expect stars from them, even if they land in the moon. So I commend the district on what they have achieved, which is very obvious. They have made progress. Dr. Lacatina, great presentation. And I ask the district to continue letting the board know what else do you need for us to raise the achievement gap for everyone, equity for everyone in Fairlawn.
You got 30 seconds.
Wilkin, your time's up.
Yes, your time's up. What's that?
Oh,
Anybody else with any questions? Natalie, again, thank you very much. I want to thank all the administrators.
Mike's hand.
Mike.
Mike has his hand
Oh,
up.
all right, Mike, I didn't see it. Unmute yourself, Mike. Unmute yourself.
I know.
Okay.
You got to give me a second to react. All right. The only thing I want to say is I don't think anybody on this board and any of the administration and anyone in our schools think our schools are perfect. I don't think that anyone wants any child to be left. I hate to say this, to be left behind. I think we all work very hard in this district to make every child succeed and to give them the tools to succeed. And you need to do that. But I especially, I want everyone to know that there is no way a school system could be perfect, especially a public school system. And we are always what we want to do all the time, if I'm not mistaken, Nick, am I correct, is what we want to do is we want to just raise everybody up, raise the bar, get everyone to work to their potential. That's what we need to do. We need to get everyone to work to their potential. And if we're not doing that, then we're not doing our job. So thank you.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to public comments.
All right, we are. But can I finish saying what I was saying, sir?
Go ahead, Ron.
Thanks. Natalie, I just wanted to thank you and the administration for all your hard work on putting this together. And as always, you'll keep us up to date on anything that changes or anything else. Thanks, but thank you again.
You're welcome.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open up the meeting to the public comments on the agenda, not new business, on the agenda. So, Mr. Garcia, you have the questions in front of you. I do not. So, if you want to.
I unlocked the public comments a couple minutes ago. So hopefully questions start coming in. Here they come.
Okay.
So David Stratner's first question, what is the additional $97,000 for the Dell agreement? Brooke, I'm going to kick that one to you. And Shoestring Productions is that one, David, I will answer. Shoestrings Production is who's going to be doing our virtual graduations for our elementary schools and potentially our middle schools. That's why we're entering into a contract with them. But Brooke, would you answer the Dell question?
Sure. So the additional $97,000 is for the next 2 grade levels that we're ordering for next year. Or no, 1 grade level, I'm sorry. The additional 1 grade level and then enough devices for the mixed level classes.
Just a reminder to everybody that you need to state your full name and address. Otherwise, your question will not be answered or recognized.
So it says, I'm going to do what I did last meeting and just give it a minute, and then I'm going to export it. And then I'm going to keep going back and doing that. It makes it easier.
No problem.
All right. Yes, much easier. Mel, Georgetower, Dr. Flace is Eberlin Drive. Flace is excited to see Dr. Baptiste as assistant principal of Fairlawn High School. Her passion for education, special education, it was cut off. I'm sure it'll be missed or welcomed. Robin Willens, thank you for the update about possible plans to reopen schools in the fall. It is good to hear that there is a reentry plan being put in place. We are hoping for the best, and I understand that everything is still very much in there. If the students do go back to school in the fall, will the reentry plan include an orientation for the incoming 5th and 6th grade moving to the middle schools? And if we do not happen to return to school in the fall, is that plan being worked out to orient the kids to their new school structure? Yes, Robin, we're hoping that we can have an orientation, hopefully a live orientation, especially to see the new middle schools. If it has to be a virtual orientation, it will be, but we are keeping that in mind, that we may have to do an orientation. We always plan on doing an orientation. I mean, we're very big on transition in Fair Lawn. So that's something that we'll try to get in. Dawn Ebner, question regarding superintendent report referring to the reentry teams. Who will be involved in the teams at both the district level and the school levels? What are the expectations of the members involved in these teams? That's the first part of the question. So the reentry teams, as I said, are going to be made up of multi-stakeholders. I mean, at the district level, we talked about obviously central office administrators. You're going to have our buildings and grounds director, Tom Sanko, John Yobs. You're going to have Aramark personnel on there because we're going to be talking about food, director of security, nurses. I mean, it's going to be a multidisciplinary team of how we're going to open these schools back up again. So we're working on that. What are their roles? Their roles are going to be, how do we prepare our schools to open back up in September? And what do we do to ensure the safety of our students? And it's not just about the safety, it's about the education. It's about making sure our students are caught up. Are there any academic gaps? Mental health. I mean, there's so many things we're going to be looking at. And that's the same for the reentry teams at the school. A reentry team for Forest School may look vastly different than a reentry team for Fairlawn High School. So each school is going to be different. Page 30, letter O, approval of ESS for substitute teaching. Please repeat of concerns. They don't feel that ESS provides all that they claim. Full service management eliminates the administrative responsibilities and day-to-day management. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to go back to the live poll.
Who sent that question in?
Dawn Ebner.
Okay, thank you.
There's more coming in. Thank you for your patience as we do it this way. All right. Mel, George Shower again. If ESY needs any support from FLACE, please let us know. We would be happy to help. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you.
All right. This is Bathsheba Mitchell, 26 Heights Ave. I just want to thank each one of my daughter's teachers. Miss Doherty for teaching Camilla new concepts every day. Miss Mulkey for her wonderful hands-on activities and bringing my daughter's cap and diploma for her pre-K graduation. Miss Heather for her speech therapies. Miss Kelly for her occupational therapies and her case manager. Miss Burns for always being available. I know it is a hard task to teach this way, but you guys rock. Thank you so much for your time and dedication. Thank you very much for sharing it. It was very nice.
That was nice.
This one does not have a name or address. So as we've said before, we are going
Not answering it.
I'm going to go back to the live poll, give it another minute or two, see if any additional ones come in. That is it. I don't see any new ones coming in at this point. All right.
All right, so we're going to close the public comments on the agenda. At this time, does any board members have any comments on any agenda items? If there are questions, they've been answered already. Or if you have any questions on it or anything, but does anybody have anything you want on the agenda? And I'm perusing around. Emily.
A couple questions on the agenda. So, and I apologize for not being able to email these questions in advance. There's an agenda item F4B and F4C about lease purchasing buses. And I'm just wondering, was there a discussion around not doing that this year? I know we budgeted for that already, but given that transportation is likely to be not normal in terms of need next year, in terms of like going to sporting events and large group concerts and extracurricular activities, can we wait and not move forward with at least one of those two buses and use that money from the budget to respond to COVID-19 related expenses that we might not have anticipated, or put it into reserve and give it back to the taxpayers for this year?
Brooke, would you like to speak about the need of those?
Sure. We took that into consideration, Dr. Cohen, and the reason that we did want to get that order in is because there is a delay. And if you remember from our conversations about the budgeting process for those buses, these are buses that are replacing buses that are coming offline. So these are buses that are beyond their useful life. We can no longer use them to transport students. And then a second consideration to make, just thinking, if we do have to do some sort of social distancing on transportation when we do return in the fall, if you did read those CDC guidelines, the recommendation is every other row. So where we might normally have a small bus, we might need to make an accommodation for the 54. We put that order in to get the lease in because we also just know that there's a lot of factories, people have been furloughed, there's a big delay in ordering. And so that was really the why you see that motion on here now.
Okay, thank you. Another question is about the virtual ceremonies at all three levels. The agenda right now states that the amount for the smaller amount is for elementary schools. It doesn't say anything about middle schools. So is the idea, Nick, you alluded to the fact that you potentially use that same company for middle school, so that would just be reflected on the June agenda once that's worked out.
We're going to obviously have to move forward with it and then ratify it in June. It was a small nominal amount, but it was definitely a different price for the middle school because it is a little bit longer and a little more comprehensive than an elementary moving up. So that is accurate.
I also wanted to ask if there will be socially distanced events that are appropriate given state guidelines once those guidelines are communicated. Is the plan to, like, what will happen? This money will still be spent, there'll still be virtual productions that then might be incorporated into a live event, so it's not redundant, or is the idea that board approves this money and we might not end up spending it if plans change?
No, so this is a valid question, and this is part of the dilemma that we're facing when you have yesterday, hey, we could have live graduations, but we have no details of what a live graduation could look like, and it's not till July. Now, hypothetically, as superintendent, if I say, okay, we're going to table the virtual graduation because we got our hopes up that we could have a live graduation, we don't move forward with the virtual graduation or the virtual movings up for the elementary schools or the middle school, and we just go with a live graduation. Say there's a big spike mid-June and it goes up again, and then they say, that's it, we can't have live graduations. Say we turn into the Ozarks and everybody decides to come out and party and it goes bad in New Jersey. Then all of a sudden we can't have live graduations. Well, now we didn't have a virtual graduation or we didn't have a live graduation. So I'd like to hedge our bets, have a virtual graduation, invest in the virtual graduations, move forward with that with the hopes of having a live graduation when we get more information from the governor. And as I said last night, I was on the PTA council, Dr. Lacatina, Mr. Barbarullo, they were on that PTA council meeting with me as well. And we had said that, hopefully if things loosen up, if we could do something nice during the summer, we will make every effort to honor our students the best way we can.
Okay, great. All right, so my next question is with some of the grants. So 2 grants in particular, they're on page 18 of the revised agenda, but I'll just describe them so you don't have to flip through old attachments. But the school security grant was upward of $200-something thousand. Is that typical, or did we get more than we usually do for that grant? It seems higher than I remember it.
So this is actually that the Alyssa's law. So that bond that the voting, what the public voted on, securing our schools motion. So this is a brand new grant that the state of New Jersey is offering, and that's directly connected to the Alyssa's law, which is those silent panic alarms. So that was what the voters had voted on in the last election, saying that they wanted bond money to go to VOTEC and securing our schools. That's what that is. So this is brand new for us for this year, and that allocation we've already received. So once we get the application, we're hoping we can use that for any kind of appropriate purchases that falls under the Alyssa's law guidelines.
And I just want to thank our director of security who worked very closely with Brooke on, getting this grant application in for such a substantial amount of money.
Yeah, that's great news. I just want to say in the past, we've included extra security measures in our budget. It's part of our local tax levy. So I hope now that there's more state funding available for this, we'll be able to provide some relief in our local tax levy.
So what we did was at the same time, we went ahead with Alyssa's law, and right now our schools are being outfitted so that they could put the silent alarms in for Alyssa's law. With that money that you just spoke about, that the taxpayers and the budget has allowed for, while we're applying for this $285,000, hopefully we get that money, and then we can say, okay, great, now we could use that money for what we just spent it on. So.
Okay, and then also on grants, the ESSER grant fund under the CARES Act of $239,000. That's our federal Title I monies that are coming back in response to COVID, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's basically, we have to apply for reimbursement for any applicable COVID-19 expenses.
Okay.
And
so this is the board just approving the applications. This is not the receipt of the money, but it's congruent with policy that we would expect that that's what we're due to be paid based on some algorithm or formula.
That's the allocation that we're allowed to go up to with qualifying reimbursement expenses.
Okay, great. And then my final.
Emily, you're running out of time.
I was going to say you're over 5. If you want to keep Ron, it's
Yeah. How about I go to somebody else? Emily, I'll come back to you. How's that? Is that okay? You're okay with that? No problem. Who had their hand up? I saw somebody who had their hand up. Somebody had their hand up. Wilkin, go ahead. You're up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Barbarolo. On F4AB, in the future, I would like to respectfully request that the board receives these documents in a timely manner. We received them today. This is not sufficient time for some of us that work from home and some of us that are parents of school-age children. We have to dedicate many hours today, so if we can receive these documents in a timely fashion, as per our policy, that would be helpful. On F5DE.
What page is that on, Wilkin? What
page
page are you talking about? Chris, can you give us our pages?
Well,
we gotta wait a minute then, because I want to find it. So
that won't count on the time. Okay, on F.
Well, then have the pages, Wilkin. I mean, that's not fair. All right, you're trying to tell us something and we're looking for it, and then we don't know the pages. So go ahead. Now I found it. Go ahead.
On F5D and E. I would like to ask, what amount is the threshold for the administration binding the district into contracts before they have to go out for bids?
It's $40,000.
Okay. All right. And lastly, on R4. Okay. on R4, these are the
Page, please.
22. No, I'm sorry. 20, 24.
Okay, we don't have, on this is the renewals for the professionals. And for people that are watching, these are not the professionals like the teachers. This is the attorney, the architect, the
It's
auditor.
on the agenda. They understand.
Yes.
Go ahead. You don't have to explain it. It's on the agenda.
We did not receive the actual contracts for these professionals that we're supposed to approve to extend for another year. So during the part of the meeting where we vote on this, I'm going to be making a motion to table this item onto our next meeting to allow the administration the time needed to get those contracts so we can make an educated decision to approve or not. I want to see a copy of every contract I vote on, and I'm sure my fellow board members would like to actually have the contracts people that you are for the companies that you are approving. We don't have the contracts, we should not vote tonight.
So this is something that we do every single year, that we reappoint. I sent the agenda out last Thursday to everybody and received this question last night, today, I guess last night, saying I wanted to see a copy of the contracts. We have the contracts. We have them in the business office. We have them, but for us to turn around and give the contracts to all the board members today for you to look at, to vote on, was not logistically going to happen. You know, if you want, we'd be happy to share the contracts with you. However, I am not recommending tabling these motions off of tonight's, but I will leave that up to the board. In fact, we emailed the board today at your request to ask if anybody wanted to move this, and majority of the board said they wanted to keep this on. But I will leave it up. When you get to that point and you want to make that motion, you can make that motion, Mr. Santana, but it's not my recommendation to take these off.
I understand.
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
At your request to review these contracts.
Okay. I have learned that in the state of New Jersey, it is expected for Board of Educations to receive contracts before we vote on any contract. So if there are fellow board members here that are gonna vote blindly without having an actual contract to vote on, that's their decision. I beg to disagree. I hope, you know, it's an agenda of almost 50 pages, and there were many documents that we did not get. So because, excuse me, please do not interrupt me. I didn't interrupt you. Because the district did not provide the contracts, and because the district did not have the time to provide the contract, otherwise you have attached the contracts to the agenda, I am going to propose that we table it so we allow you, the administration, with the time necessary to email us the contracts that we are voting on. We should not vote on contracts that are worth yearly a lot of money without actually receiving the
Okay,
contract.
so that's, all right, so we got your point. Go ahead, move
Yes,
on
at
to
the
next.
very least, to finish my time, at the very least.
I know, but I don't want to get lectured. I just
You
want
have
to move
10
on.
seconds.
At the
10
very
seconds.
least, we want to see a copy of every contract we vote on. And I
Okay.
will be making a motion to table this until the next meeting. So we receive the actual contract.
So that's your 5 minutes, Wilkin, but you can make that motion to table when that comes up on the agenda. That's
Thank
your,
And like I said,
Okay.
and like I said in my email today, you can vote no. And that is up to you. You can make that motion and you have that right to vote no if you don't want to. And it's up to the board whether or not they want to vote yes or no on those contracts. But you can make that motion as well. It's your.
Contracts should not be a secret document. They're public document. We're elected officials.
Moving on.
Okay, you're done. Wilkin, you're done. Wilkin, you're done. That's it. You're done. Next person. Anybody else got any comments? Mike.
Just as my usual for F5G, which is the custodians contract, I'm going to be abstaining because I don't vote on contracts in the NJEA, and I never have. And also, I want to. I lost it because I was here. I just want to also congratulate the promotion of Dr.
Baptiste.
Yes, I'm embarrassed that I didn't remember. You know, when she's given presentations to the board and everything else, oh my God, it's just high class stuff. And she is a wonderful, wonderful addition to the high school administration team. I do not think, first of all, I do look at every professional that we appoint, and I do not think that in this time, that during a pandemic, that it would be the time to be looking at this. If we want to look at professionals and how we hire professionals, I think the time would be after this pandemic is over and we get a sense of normalcy and for next year. So
Thank you. Elise, you're up. Mute yourself. Okay, there you go.
So I just want to say that we had a meeting, I guess, about a month ago, and a board member who got a document like 3 or 4 weeks before said I didn't read it because I didn't think it was important. So my thought process is I'm not an attorney. I could read a contract. I've read contracts before, but I'm trusting that the administration is reading the contracts and scrutinizing the contracts and making the best contracts they possibly can. I also think we get a lot of email. I think that, when, I don't know, pick any one of the items that we're approving contracts for, auditors send us messages all the time. I'm sure you guys get the same emails. If any of them had a proposal that was worth looking into, I would like to say that I could guarantee that you as a team would have looked at, from your department, whatever the proposal is and said, hey, this guy's got a great idea at a great price. Let's grab this or see what the real story is. I would just like to say that I don't believe that I need to actually see or read through every contract that the schools sign. That when something comes up and there's a problem, with what we're approving tonight, I don't remember there being any problems. Like just use the auditor again as an example. I just want to say that I'm confident to vote yes for the contracts that you would like us to approve.
Thank you. Anybody else? I just wanted to say one thing. I want to commend the administration, Mr. Norcia, for the retirement resolution for Jerry, our bus driver, who unfortunately we lost. Was a well-loved man in this district, and I think it's a great tribute to him and his family, so I want to commend them. And I also want to thank the Fairlawn High School class of 2019, our latest graduating class, for adding another scholarship. So it shows that all of our alumni believe very wholeheartedly in our school district, that they went through, and they want to give back to that school district and the students that are going through. So I think that's another good tribute to our district and our administration. Any other last comments or anything on the agenda? Emily, that's right. I apologize, Emily. I told you I'd come back to you.
No problem.
You got to raise your hand a little higher, Emily.
Okay. So the last thing I wanted to ask and comment on is the health-related school closure plan. So I just want to let my board colleagues know that this is a document that I looked at pretty carefully. I spent a good part of my time reading through it and providing feedback. And I'm happy to share my comments on it for any board colleague that wants to see it on an individual basis, if you'd be interested in that. But most importantly, I shared it with Nick and Ron. And Nick, thank you for checking with the Department of Education about including a board member on the coronavirus leadership team, the one that includes a lot of different stakeholders, including the mayor. And it's great that you're going to allow that. So I just wanted to ask if administration could send, I know we're going to vote on it and I plan to vote yes, but if you could send the revised version based on that addition, as well as any of the other revisions you made since I sent some feedback, and I don't know if other board members have sent feedback on it as well.
I have.
As of right now, the only, thank you, Emily. The only thing, so what Emily's referring to is, I spoke with the Department of Education today. We created a coronavirus leadership team, which is part of that health preparedness plan. And the Department of Education had said that it was okay to have one board member act as a liaison in that capacity on the leadership team. So we'll be adding that to it. Other than that, it is a fluid document, and they had said that, like, you know, once we make changes, we may have to revisit it. We're going to have to revisit it for the future. So at that point, we will look at the other changes and we'll discuss that and bring it to the board.
Okay, just one other thought about that in the future. It might be helpful to have education committee or special education committee discuss it with administration before it goes to the full board for feedback, because the general curriculum and the special education part of that plan is so extensively wonderful. Just to get further board feedback on it before it goes before the board in the future might be helpful.
Thank you. Anything else, Emily?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Wilkin, you got 3 minutes.
Yes, I understand there are, I actually don't understand, but I understand and I respect that there are board members that do not want to receive, do not want the contract that we're going to vote on tonight. But I hope I'm wrong. I hope we have a majority of board members who will vote yes to approve the motion, because it is standard practice across school boards in the state of New Jersey to have contracts when you are voting to approve them. We're supposed to read the information before we vote. We're not supposed to do what some people do
Mr.
in
Santana, Mr. Santana, you're going to make a comment on Mr. Santana. You're going to make
I'm about to conclude my 3 minutes.
No, but you're going on. You're just repeating what you said, and you're lecturing the board. Just make your proposal. That's it. Okay, I'm not going to sit here and listen to that.
And you're trying to stop me.
I'm trying to stop you because you're not saying anything different. It's any more comments on the agenda. You're saying the same thing you spoke about before. So either it's something different or we're moving on. Okay, that's it. We spoke about this before.
About the same topic for twice, as per bylaws. We have a parliamentarian. Am I right or wrong, Mr. Rosell?
I'm timing your 3 minutes now, Wilkins, so continue.
So I'm right. I can speak about the topic twice, right?
You can speak about it twice. You have 1.5 minutes left.
Okay, but Mr. Barbarulo took my time.
I took that time out. Continue.
Okay, so again, we're yes, during the COVID crisis, yes, I agree. During the COVID crisis, we need to be very careful with decisions that involve thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. When we have residents of furlough who have lost their job, are on unemployment, small business owners,
this is lecturing,
making very little bit of money. Because of that, we have to scrutinize the dollar very closely. And part of that is actually reading the information that we're supposed to read before we vote on them. And it is malpractice. It's not a best practice to vote on contracts before you have received it. So we should give the opportunity, plenty of time to the administration so they can provide them, and then we can vote up and down on them. No further comments. Thank you.
Cindy, unmute yourself. Thank you.
Thanks, Ron. I just wanted to ask if I could have the board attorney speak as to these contracts that are being referred to, and whether we are supposed to be reading every single page of every single contract that we're approving of services that the board has, that the central office is recommending to the board.
Sure. First of all, just so everybody knows, you could unmute yourself by just holding your space bar, just in case. Okay. So that's good. And to answer your questions, Cindy, no, you're not supposed to, you don't, it's not best practice to read every single line of every single contract. You can do so if you want to as board members, but because contracts are public documents, but you rely on the administration to recommend your appointments and look at the, proposals and just like you would any construction contract. You don't read an $8 million contract to build a middle school. You rely on what the bids come in at and then what the contract looks like later once the professionals look at it. These contracts are professional contracts. The auditor, the architect, the attorneys, the contracts don't really change. Contract. What you're looking at on the agenda is what you're appointing the professionals for. And that is the appointment is the contract. There is a document you sign like a retainer for an attorney, for example, which just sets forth what the duties are that I would do for you. Attend meetings for the retainer fee, et cetera, et cetera. That's what the contract says, but you're appointing based on the administration's recommendation. You don't need to read, and I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to read every single line of every single contract to do that. You would be here forever. There's thousands of pages of contracts constantly.
Can I just also ask one question? Every single purchase order is a contract. So.
That's correct.
And my understanding is, as the business administrator board secretary, I'm the only one authorized to actually sign a contract. Besides the board president.
Correct.
So,
the board president or the business administrator is authorized to sign contracts unless we authorize specifically someone else to do it.
So board policy is what sets who looks like why you have the superintendent hiring and reviewing me, for instance.
Correct. And we actually have a policy on these professional services, which sets forth exactly how they're awarded and what the limits are and everything. All those contracts and appointments have to be within that policy as well. And in the what's called the accountability regulations in the administrative code. So there's a whole bunch of checkpoints and safety procedures, especially for these types of contracts, that is even more than other ones. So it's like Brooke said, she can sign this and that's in the board president, and that's what the board has authorized, and that's what the law authorizes as well. So
thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate your input.
Anybody else with any other comments on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to the regular agenda. Give me 1 second. I need a motion for G1 and 2.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
You're muted. Everybody unmute yourself, please. Elise, you're muted.
I could unmute everybody. I unmuted everybody.
Elise is still muted.
Oh, she is.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion for S1, 2, 3.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
and Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion for E1 through 3.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I have a motion for P1 through 6.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes, but abstain on P1.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes, but I'm abstaining on Kimberly Temesco.
Which
That's she's the first.
P6B?
Yeah, P6B. She's a promotion.
Okay.
She's the first one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Can I have a motion for SE 1 to 3?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana.
A Bush.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Can I have a motion for F1 through 5?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes, but abstain on F5G.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Hold on a minute.
Point of information to the attorney.
Joe, you're muted. Joe, you're
Yeah,
muted.
no, I know. What's up?
When do I make the motion, Mr. Rosell?
You make a motion after all of R is moved and seconded, and then you could make a motion to table whatever you want.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you.
It's not tabling, right? It's holding.
I'm making a motion to postpone it.
One second.
If you have a certain date to do it, it's either one will work. So if you're tabling till the next meeting, you can do that, but you're really postponing this until till June's meeting. That's what your motion will be.
Okay.
Need a motion for R1 through R9.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. I would like to respectfully make a motion to postpone R4 on the professional contracts to allow the administration the time to provide us with the contracts before we vote on them, because they're worth millions of dollars, to the next meeting, to the next possible meeting in June.
Are you just saying it's R4, everything under R4 up to H, correct? Not
Yeah, all the
R5.
professionals on R4.
Okay, just those are R4. Okay.
Motion to,
And it's not millions of dollars, just to correct the thing. It's not millions of dollars.
the BA.
I'm just
There's
stating.
no discussion.
There hasn't even been a second.
There's not a second. I need a second.
And then
I got
there
it,
is
Gene.
no discussion on that motion. It's just a vote.
I need a second.
I'll second it. I'll second it.
All right, you second it. All right. So we have a motion to postpone the vote on R4 until the June meeting. And we have a second on it. Can I have roll call?
Yes.
Point of order. Discussion.
There's no discussion
discussion.
on the motion.
Okay.
He said that and I said that. But never mind, whatever.
Okay, Mr. Banta,
No.
Dr. Cohen,
No.
Mrs. Frankel,
No.
Mr. Aiken,
No.
Ms. Quackenbush,
No.
Mr. Rosenberg,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
No.
Mr. Barbarulo.
No.
Okay.
All right, so now I need a motion on R1 to 9.
That,
Didn't we already
the
have
motion-
that?
that was already made, Ron.
I
So
apologize.
now
Joe.
it's discussion on any of those and then a
Yeah.
vote.
Any discussion on 1 to 9?
Well, we
Yes.
did the discussion already.
Yeah, we did the discussion already, so let's have a roll call, please.
Okay. Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen, Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Aiken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No on R4. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, at this point, that is the agenda. We have a special action meeting on June 11th at 6 p.m. via Zoom at this moment. And our regular monthly meeting is going to be June 25th, 6 p.m. And that'll be again via Zoom. And then July 23rd would be the next to be determined. We'll see how things are going. So at this point, I need a motion to, oh no, I apologize. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I need public comments on new business. Public comments on new business.
I have it
Isn't
open.
it on any business?
What?
Isn't it on any business?
Yeah, any business.
The agenda says
Any-
new business,
The
but it's,
agenda says new business, but it's any business. Yes, correct. Public comments on any business. It'll be board comments on any business.
I opened it up a couple minutes ago. I'm just waiting to see if something comes in.
Okay, no problem. We'll wait.
And just while we are waiting, I don't want to forget, when we get to the meeting date list, we do need to have a special action next week, but we're going to go right into exec session. So I'll email the board and shoot for next Thursday night if we could. So I'll email the board after this, but just hold that for next Thursday night. It's just going to be right into exec session. There will be no public.
Nick, what is the date? I'm sorry.
It's all right. I have to look too.
June 4th.
June 4th.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
See anything coming in, so let me just check again.
Will that be at 6 o'clock also, Nick?
Yes, that's what I'm going to shoot for.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. All right, I'm gonna lock this down. No questions are coming in.
I got you, Emily.
All right.
All right, at this point, we're going to open up to any business for the board to speak. Emily had her hand up first.
Okay, a couple of things. So just about, Wilkin, I just want to respond to you about the voting on the contracts. I understand the spirit of the points you made, and I would like to ask administration to consider for the future when this comes up next year, for board members who do want the option to read it before a vote, it would be nice to have those available. But I thought for this year, especially under the circumstances, we should move forward with our longstanding relationships, and that's the better option of the two to pick. And look, and you can disagree, but I understand the spirit of trying to find ways to cut money and save taxpayer dollars. And of course, I agree with that. I just don't think this particular mechanism is the way to address that issue. That's just a philosophical difference under these circumstances for this year. I wanted to say thank you to the administration for moving new student enrollment into the district online. Especially because they can't go to the community school to do that anymore. And just two things. One is if that might be a practice that can be extended into future school years for convenience and ease for parents, just to make it one less hassle to provide that flexibility. Unless something looks funny, then people have to come in. But make that a default option. And then also similarly planning for potentially virtual orientations for middle school moving up and high school moving up, to also consider kindergarten orientation, especially for families who are brand new to the district, and giving them a solid start. You can imagine their additional anxiety with starting this transition with so much unknown. I think it would go a long way. I also want to say thank you to the administration for doing everything they possibly can to make program options available for camps this summer. And I think especially, programs that will help families who want even more kind of summer school educational, making up for not the summer dip, trying to prevent the summer dip under normal circumstances a consideration, but especially given the longer potential dip we're facing. I think that is something unique to our school district that can't be offered potentially by other organizations. So just really encouraging having those options available for families who want to access that and who are able to access that. On the topic of the Bergen Community College contract, just want to again reiterate the importance of considering in that contract what terms will look like if instruction needs to be delivered virtually, and there won't be transporting students to Paramus to take classes on the ground, to make sure that that remains an option for students in that program under these circumstances. And then the final thing I want to say is in response to comments about how the need to make up for learning losses, hypothetical growth losses over these past 2+ months will be universal, not even unique to Bergen County, Fair Lawn, New Jersey. It will be actually global in a lot of circumstances. The thing is that our response to that challenge is not universal. And I am convinced that communities that are able to rally their assets quickly and pivot and actually accept the reality of the circumstances and plan to their best ability and reallocate resources in clever ways, kind of outside of the box thinking of persevering through this challenge, are the ones whose kids will not experience as much loss compared to communities who are unable to do that. And Fair Lawn is an incredibly resilient district with tons of resources, people, financial, supportive board, great administrators, and there's no reason why our team with the right leadership can't rise to all of the challenges that are ahead coming this next school year. And I just want to say to my board colleagues, as a board of education, of course, safety is very important, but not to miss the education piece in terms of helping our teachers and support staff get the professional development that they need to pivot for their students and as teams, and to realize that online instruction isn't just taking what you do in the classroom and putting it online, that actual online learning is a whole different animal that requires specialized training. And hopefully we won't need that specialized training in large part going into the fall, but it's a huge risk to take to say that we won't need that to some degree, some kind of online teaching at some grade level and some days for some students. And I just really want to speak as a board member to my board colleagues and to central administration to prioritize that professional development, especially over the summer, for the money that we're spending on professional development anyways, to prioritize a core group, a critical mass of instructional staff and leaders to jump that learning curve really quickly and help their colleagues get on board in the fall on the assumption that there's a very, very good chance that we'll need that. And if we end up not needing it, even better, but at least we'll have planned for that likelihood. That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome, Emily. Thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead, Wilkin.
Thank you, Mr. Marulo. I am very disappointed at the vote, but I accept it because, we live in a democracy. But I don't want to hear any board member later on with new initiative or transparency. If you want initiative or transparency, you're gonna have to, make the tough decisions, not abstain. But I would like to ask the Finance Committee to discuss, as we have a crisis with many small businesses in furlough suffering, and I would like to ask the Finance Committee to discuss the possibility of setting aside a certain percentage of contracts for small businesses in Fair Lawn, women-owned businesses in Fair Lawn, minority-owned businesses in Fair Lawn, to give opportunities to those Fair Lawn based businesses to get contracts with our district. You know, not just send money away to these big corporations outside of Fair Lawn, but give an opportunity to small business owners in Fair Lawn as well. I would like the Finance Committee to discuss that. Also, I would like to request administration for the next meeting if they can share the plan, if it's ready going forward, that they are working on for any potential loss of state aid, so we can be prepared for what if. I would like to, and same thing with the educational, with the impact of the 3.5 months that we have had, that we will have of distance learning. I would like to know if the shared services and the special ed committees have met this year, because I don't remember having received any minutes this year at all, or any agendas at all. So if you have met, if you can let the board know.
To answer your question, Wilkins Shared Services hasn't met. Mr. Van Kroonigen didn't feel a need to meet for anything. And then the pandemic hit and we haven't discussed anything.
We were supposed to meet for special ed and we didn't meet for special ed because of the pandemic hit as well.
Have you met at all this year? Because I haven't.
No, we haven't met. We just said we haven't met.
No, I said the special ed committee.
Yeah, no.
The special ed committee just came back in January. We didn't have it last year when we reorganized our committees, and then the pandemic hit in March, so we never had a chance to meet.
Okay, I think, all right. I would like to, in terms of, I would like to know, maybe for the next meeting, the district can provide this, how many of our employees have use of district vehicles for private use or commuting use? How many of our district employees have authorization to use district vehicle for private use or commuting use? And lastly, but not least, I would like to know if we are making a, not lastly, but I have another point, but if we are making if we're making as a district an effort through affirmative action to diversify our employees so the district staff reflects the students and the community we serve. What are we doing to attract a diverse staff? I would like to know that, because there are studies that show if students of color have at least one teacher of color, their chances of graduating and graduation are much higher. If a child sees a teacher that looks like them, it validates them. If we only employ white teachers, sooner or later, the minority student will see he or she is limited. And there are studies that show that. But anyways, I would like to thank the administration for what they're doing right and encourage them to do better. And that's it. Thank you.
We just to touch on that, we've covered some of these topics already, so I'm going to respectfully kick a lot of these back to the committees again and send minutes out that way. I know that we spoke about hiring of staff and diversity. The vehicles we did not cover, so that's something that we could provide that information to the Board of Education. That's no problem. We'll send an email out to everybody on that. It doesn't have to come out the next board meeting. But the diversity one and the hiring, I'm going to kick that back to personnel because we've met on that several times already. And to answer your question about the finances and the decisions that we have to make in administration's plans, once we know how much we're being cut and what we're being cut, and Brooke and I spoke about it today again, when we're ready to report out, we'll report out. But if we don't know and we're not sure where we're at, I don't want to just come.
I thought the district was making a plan to prepare for what if.
We are.
They are. He's not ready to roll it out yet because you don't know what's going on. So they're not going to put out the information and then it's got to change again. It's changing every day. The governor even said in his press conference today that they have no idea what's going to happen to anything, not just school aid, anything. They're looking to the federal government for money. They're almost $40 billion down. That's what he stated today at this conference.
And lastly, if the district can provide with an approximate number of how much we have payout in professionals bills last year. If they can give a good estimate, how much have the district pay out in our professionals as of last year? I'm sure the business administrator can.
What professionals are you talking about? So she
The
knows what she.
professionals that the board professional, auditor, engineer, architect, all of that. How
Okay.
much have we paid them as of last year?
Okay. Just so she knows what to look for.
That we can get that information, right? There would not be no problem, right?
Look information.
Norcia?
I don't see it being a problem. Brooke, you can get that information, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
I mean, just, I mean, I might have some additional questions. I'm sorry, I might have some additional questions because we do have a referendum going on and construction projects. So that might elevate those figures based on what a typical year might look back. And that's
I
also
want to know
one thing
the
that was-
years, I want to know the amount paid.
Well, we can talk about it when you bring it to the finance committee. Like, so let Ron know and then he can email me and then I can gather that information.
Finance committee is right here. I would like to know how much did we pay
I will
out?
take care. I will take care of it, Mr. Santana. I'm the chairman of the finance
Wasn't it
committee,
time up?
and I'll take care of it. Okay.
Time is
That's
up
it.
now,
You're
yep.
done. Your time's up. Now we're going to Mike. Go
All
ahead,
right,
Mike.
a couple things. You know, there's been a lot of things going on, and this is a horrible time to be talking about some of these things because we're in the middle of a global pandemic. But I need to say a couple of things, and I have the right to say it as a board member. If I'm not mistaken, when I take my oath of office every time, I say I'm going to follow the ethics, and I obviously have a job to do. Our most important job is to hire the superintendent. His most important job, I think, is to hire the people underneath him and then all the way down to the teachers that are working with and staff that are working with our children. I don't think it is our job to question every single decision that the person we hired to do a job makes. He has the power to make certain decisions. We have the right to ask about those decisions, but I keep thinking, and I hope I'm wrong, that there's an implication that Mr. Norcia is not up for, is not doing his job, and down below them. That's why I don't have a problem with voting for the professionals that they've looked at the contracts, bidded the contracts out, and they are the professionals. We hired them to do that for the board. As far as the education of our children, they are the ones that are trained to educate our children. I might be a teacher. I'm not trained to be an administrator of children, and that is not my role on the Board of Education. So obviously, they know that there's going to be problems next year with what kids have missed. And the last thing I want to say is I'm really, 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 I'm just like, I don't even know how to say it. We care about every child. We care about every employee we have. I don't care what the race is. I don't care what the ethnicity is, okay? We're gonna hire the best people for the job that applies for the job. And it's Nick's job to do that. And I am really, there's a lot of insinuations. And there's been an insinuation this week that we're the same old thing. And because I'm on the board for so long, I don't know what I'm doing and I don't see the new stuff in education. I live education. I live public education. And but I really take offense that this board, no, not this board, this school district doesn't teach every child the same not the same for what they need to learn and succeed in Fairlawn. That's why we're here. So I don't care what race you are or what race anybody is or what ethnicity anyone is. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it because I am not a prejudiced person. I don't have a prejudiced bone in my body, and I want every kid in Fairlawn to succeed. So I'm tired of it now. Stop sending emails. You know who you are. Thank you. I'm sorry I yelled.
Anybody else? Elise?
I just wanted to say that I went to a Zoom meeting with the community school as the community school liaison, and they were discussing how they're going to do camps, and that took up a big part of the meeting. And I'm not sure what they're going to put forward. Obviously, they have to wait for direction, and there were a little bit about moving registration, and all in all, it was a good meeting, and I was happy to be back doing that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that report. I appreciate it. Anybody else?
After
Mike?
everyone's done. After everyone's done.
Okay. Let's see. Anybody else got their hands up? Wilkin? Got
Yes.
it's your second time, 3 minutes.
Yes. Look, we have a need in this district to embrace everyone. And if we do not embrace diversity, and if we take offense, I have a board member from a minority group asking for our staff to reflect the diversity of our students. This shows a lot of fear and ignorance, you know?
We're not going to be going back and forth, okay? I'm telling you right now. I'm not allowing
I
it.
suggest.
I'm telling you now, I'm running this meeting.
You know, we have this whole trust that we speak about as a board. It's trusting the board members who have the majority, but the board members that have a minority point of view, you just completely want to ignore, and you don't even want to approve a resolution to honor the people in this country who don't look like us.
That's not called for, Mr. Santana. Mr. Santana.
Anything we respect.
Mr. Santana. Mr. Santana. I'm going to tell you that's uncalled for. No, it's uncalled for your comments. Okay? We're not going there. No, excuse me. Now I'm going to talk. Okay? You are now you're accusing this administration of not hiring people of different colors. Yes, you are. So now we're going to stop this conversation. We're stopping the conversation now.
I asked the administration for information, and they said they will provide it.
Yeah, well, you're stopping the conversation now, okay?
I have a second time to speak.
Yeah, and you're going to speak on the proper thing.
Mr. Roselli.
You're not allowed the only minority member in this group.
I don't want to hear that, Mr. I don't want to hear that.
Wilkin and Ron, just give me a second. I stopped your time, Wilkin.
I just muted everybody but Joe. Sorry.
Thank you. This comment section, this is for board member comments about new business items or other items of interest to the district. Before you talk, Wilkin, you're muted. Hold on. Okay. It's not to go back and forth between board members about issues that you may feel are personal issues or anything else. The whole point of public comment for board members is to get out your opinion or your thoughts on school district items. If you have an issue with other board members, that's something for Ron, the school board's rep, and everybody else to deal with. That's not the point of this public comment session. It's just to get your opinions and thoughts out about things that are affecting the district. If you want to do that without going back and forth with each other, that's the time to do it. But Ron is right when he says we're not going back and forth, over these issues. This is just a comment period. So I'm gonna keep it at that so we can get what we have to say in.
Want me to unmute everybody? Are we?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I will have new business and a different topic. I would like for this Board of Education to consider a sensitivity training, okay, on diversity. This board needs sensitivity training on diversity, all of us. And I would like us to receive it as soon as possible.
You done? Are you done? Cindy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that over the weekend, I happened to be passing by the high school and I saw the banners that are hanging around Sasso Field, and it gave me goosebumps. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing that the PTA did. I'm very thankful that we have PTA parents that are working so very hard. They all work together, the different PTAs. They went out to the community. They asked for donations. I'm proud to say that I was a donor, and our Sunrise Rotary Club that Nick and Mike and myself are part of also made a donation. I know it's not the perfect thing because of everything that's going on, but we're really trying hard to make them feel like they are special, and they are special. But I just wanted to encourage people to just take a drive by and look at the signs. They really are special, and all over the community, the signs that are going up, it's really nice to see.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, it's just speaking as a senior parent. It was very nice to see all they did, and I actually donated another picture banner that's going to go up by Edison from my business, because I'm just so proud, as Nick stated before, I'm so proud of these seniors. The letters that they wrote were so professional, and even our president of our class actually was part of a letter of 14 other board presidents throughout the state of New Jersey that sent a letter to the governor. And you know, I think he shared that letter with all of us. And again, every letter they wrote was professional. To me, that shows they've grown, and they are definitely going to be the leaders of tomorrow. But how they've handled this, they've lost a lot. They didn't take hissy fits or nothing like that. They never screamed and yelled. They just asked, you know, to have that chance of that live graduation, which they have that chance now, hopefully. And you know, I'm just really, really proud of them. And you know, just so everybody knows, and Nick can attest to this, all year I have not said one thing to him as a senior parent regarding any of this. I've stayed out of it, and because my first job is to this Board of Education, to this district as president. And I just wanted to make that clear, because not here, somebody in public had made a comment about that, and it bothered me a little bit. And Nick can attest that not once did I ever say I want something special or anything like that. So I'm really, really proud of them. And like you said, if you haven't seen it, and hopefully we'll have a football season and we can keep it up through the football season, it would be nice for all the people to see if we have sports. But again, that's another issue that we're fighting. So, but thanks and everything else. So, Mike, you got 3 minutes.
I know. Two things. First of all, just Emily, I respectfully don't necessarily agree with virtual registration, besides in this weird year, because we have had a problem in the past with people going to our schools with that don't belong at our schools because they don't live here. So I think that that's a really, really important check, is that person going in person registration. I understand the problem this year, but that's just my opinion. You might not agree with it. That's fine. I hope, Ron, actually, I would hope that the seniors would be able to take those banners home after graduation and keep it for the rest of, you know, their mementos of Fairlawn High School. But that's just my opinion. I have nothing to do with it, so.
No problem. Emily.
Okay. So just in reflection of how this has gone in particular, I just want to plant the seed of the idea of possibly asking for us to do maybe a virtual board retreat, maybe in August at the end of the summer when we're heading into the new school year. I realize it's an additional meeting for Nick, and we don't want to take his attention away from meetings with other stakeholders that are far more important and proximal to our kids than we are as a board. But perhaps if we invested even just an hour and a half on Zoom in a retreat going into the new school year, we can clarify some things and air some things out that will help us work better and more efficiently with Nick's time and with all of our time heading in. It's going to be a unusual school year one way or the other. This is a crisis situation we're in, and I really think that having a strong board speaking as much as possibly as we can with an understanding of our collective values and what our community really is prioritizing in this crisis situation, be able to speak about our different perspectives on that as elected officials with each other might be a good investment of a Saturday morning on Zoom for just an hour and a half heading into the new school year. So I would just like to suggest that we consider that as a group.
Thank you, Emily. I'll speak to Matt Lee about it and see what his ideas are. Because I know they're pretty busy with school boards. They actually had a meeting tonight, and I'm waiting to get all the results back. But I will, what?
This was an open question of whether we actually need a school board's representative for us to have a retreat. We might, there's two layers to that question. One is, do we need to have them at all in order to have a board retreat? And then the second question is, do we need to have a school board's representative there to get credit toward a master board? So two parts of that question.
Cindy.
If we're going to be continuing on the master board track, then yes, because they have to present certain things. But if we're doing a retreat that has absolutely nothing to do with moving forward, then I don't see why. We might need a cop, but school boards could stay away.
All right, well, I'll talk to Nick about it and we'll get back to you. We'll look at some dates, because the other thing is, and I agree with you, Emily, I understand what you're saying, but it's going to be a crazy summer and everything else like that. And, you know, that might be the first and only time a couple of weeks that we have a chance to actually go somewhere live and in color without any restrictions. So, you know, but I will talk to Nick and I'll get back to the rest of the board about it. Anybody else and anything on public comments? All right, seeing that we have none, I need a motion to go into closed session. And I need a second. Yeah, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. It is 8:27. We are gonna be back at 8:35. So I'm actually giving you 8 minutes.
Actually, I'm going to send everybody a new link for the closed session. So we're going to end this one. So
okay.
Go out.
All right, so we'll leave this. We'll leave this.
Check your email.
Okay.
Will any action, is any action going to be taken?
No.
No, no action.
Okay.
All right.